This is number 40 on the road, in the waves, and on the other side with me, your host, Paul Carpenter. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm trying new things here, trying to set up better lighting, trying to set up sound so they can put sound. Just doing everything I can to make the episodes and shows better for you folks. Work on this one. Um, Today is episode 40, and my guest is going to be Wayne Marcel, also known as Blockchain Wayne. He is very much into the crypto world and into Web 5, Web 3, Web 5. So we are going to be having him join us any second now. I'm waiting for him to join in. And folks, if you want to know anything about blockchain, if you have a business and you're looking to try and get into Web3 technology, any of those things, this is definitely a way to do it. So, uh, any moment now, I think Wayne will be joining in. He's having a bit of technical difficulties, but it should work here any moment now. There is a way. I don't know if Wayne is watching now. I don't know if you're watching. By the way, from wherever you're watching, please allow me to know where you're coming from, where I'm getting your feed, where you're getting this feed from. I would love to know in the comments down below. Now, on the other hand, if you're watching this and you'd like to write a comment and you're on my Facebook page, that would be my actual Facebook page. I can't see a thing you're writing. I just found that out yesterday. People were sending messages all day long. I'm wondering if the sound is good. I'm trying to find out if my sound is good. If you can hear me, let me know. I'm trying out a new sound system. I'm doing a bunch of new stuff here, folks. I'm trying to bring On the Road in the Waves on the other side to a whole new level. I'm going to go check on Wayne real quick. We'll be right back. Still trying to get Wayne in here. For some reason, we're having some difficulties with StreamYard. This is going to be my first person to have issues with it. I believe if you're watching this, Wayne, in the more section, there's a settings area, and you can change your camera, you can change your audio all through there. Maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know, but I'm hoping that that's what it is, so that we can actually get you on here. I've been excited to have Wayne on, um, and to have him come on the show. So, like, if this doesn't happen, I'm gonna be kind of a little brokenhearted over it. Um, but that's what it goes to show when you're trying to do something live. So, a couple things I want to put out there to the world. A, I'm looking for sponsors, and that includes you viewers. If you guys want to somehow support the show, I'm doing $25 or $30 a month for just being a watcher if you want to watch, and then I have other things. I just had Wayne show up, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. And I'm looking for actual business sponsors. If you're a sponsor, a business that wants to be sponsored on the show, have me read a commercial about you, let me know. But in the meantime, I believe we have Wayne. Oh, there he is. I'm adding him to the stage now. Here's Wayne Marcel, also known as Blockchain Wayne. How are we doing today, my friend?
Hey, what's going on?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I think your audio's out for the.
The audio I'm getting from you is super low right now.
It's all right, no worries. It happens sometimes, so it's no stress. But nonetheless, I'm gonna do a small intro if I can here of Wayne. Right. Once again, where it says at the bottom, where it says more, you should be able to click there and be able to change the microphone over. But you can't hear me, right? You can totally hear me.
It's super low. I can hear you, but it's very, very low.
Yeah,
But my speaker test is working.
Wait, on. Let me do this. I'm going to unplug my sound and see what's going on. Try that. All right, can I hear you now?
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, I can't hear you now. I heard you for a second when you unplugged it.
Now. How about now?
Good. Can you hear me?
Now, prior to that, could you not hear me at all?
It was super, super low. It was almost like you were in a tunnel. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. So, like, what this was me trying to do a lavalier mic to the whole thing, but then what I just realized is that when I plug into my phone, I lose all audio for being able to hear anything. Well, I just figured that out now, so I can't use that system.
You know what I think it is, man? You if you go into settings under audio, there's a mic setting and a speaker setting, so it's probably setting them both as the.
No, I tried setting. I tried setting the sound, the audio to plugged in, audio. But what happens once again when I plug in the audio, it kills my my hearing audio.
Gotcha.
Nonetheless, let's do this. Episode 40, Marcel Wayne. Please, if you would not mind, for those who are watching now and for later, who are you? What are you about? Where do you come from? Let us know.
All right. So Wayne Marcel, I go by Blockchain Wayne. A lot of people know me as that. I've podcasted for the last 5.5, almost 6 years under that name. But outside of that, I mean, I'm very passionate about tech, about education. In 2016, I finally went down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain, that whole space, which still scares a lot of people that don't understand it. And I realized early on that this technology is hard. It's hard for people to understand. So I realized early on, look, for me to understand it better, as I learn something, I'm going to teach others because I felt it was important. And so that's what I do now. I mean, right now I'm the head of growth at FIO Protocol. I also work with some other groups. We run a project called Learn Vault, focus on creating educational content. I also started
You're flying, Wayne. And I want to go through all of these things. So so if you don't mind, let's start off a little bit before we get into all of your other stuff. So, like, where were you born? Where are you from, and how did you get into this space later? Like, but what did you go to college for? What was your actual thing before FIO and everything that you are today and the blockchain Wayne of today? Sorry, I hope you don't mind.
All good, man. Yeah, it's pretty interesting journey. So I'm from South Louisiana. Was born in Houma, Louisiana. Grew up in a town called Chauvin, Louisiana, a very small town on the bayou. And, when I went to school, I was interested in computers, and I was going to college, just to kind of date myself. I was going to college at the end of the 90s and early 2000s. So I was going to school for computer science, computer networking systems, that whole bunch, because I felt the internet at the time, right? I started college in 99. So the .com was appealing. And then by the time I graduated in 2002, I kind of missed out because I felt at that point the .com bubble had burst, and I felt that the opportunities in the tech space were limited. So I was already working for, while I was in college, I was working for Lowe's. So by the time I graduated college, shortly after, I started running my own store, moving around. I was single at the time, moved wherever they wanted me to go. And so I completely avoided tech and got into retail management. And I worked for Lowe's. I ended up counting my college time total was about 16 years. And really well, but I've always been, interested in tech, and I've always gravitated towards tech. So when I left Lowe's, I actually stayed in the retail management space. And for almost 8 years, I managed Best Buy stores. And that kind of reignited my passion for tech.
Really?
Yeah. And so during that journey, while I was working at Best Buy, it wasn't related to Best Buy, but I had a friend of mine finally tell me I needed to quit ignoring Bitcoin and take a look at Bitcoin. And that was 2016. That was that journey where I was like, holy crap, this is important. And I realized
this is a real deal. Like, this isn't just play around thing anymore.
And it's really because
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's really because I realized before I even understood what Bitcoin was, I realized most of us never truly learn what money is and how money operates. We learn how to work for money. We learn how to earn money, whether it's gigs or royalties, recurring income, but we don't really understand how our monetary and financial systems work. And I went down that rabbit hole before I understood this space. I was like, holy crap, we're in trouble. Let me focus on now. I've got to understand this other thing because we need a solution. We need a solution for
Are
our
you
future.
are you one of those guys who's into buying gold and actually holding weight in gold, or are you not there?
No, I'm not a hardcore gold bug. I do think that gold is good to have because it's a hard asset. It's more of a hard asset than our dollar. So if but I really find gold. The problem with gold comes into portability, right? And that's where digital assets provide the ability to create digital scarcity and trust, everything that you need to have sound money.
So I don't mean to cut you off, Wayne, because I had so many questions when you start talking. I like to act as though I'm a person who doesn't know any of these things, right? I have a little bit of the information. We've talked. I've gone to a lot of crypto conventions, so like that. But for those who are these doomsdayer conceptual idea people, what goes to the idea that, okay, well, I'll buy into your crypto thingy idea here, this thing you're talking about. What happens when the internet goes out? What happens if the lights go out? What happens to the crypto? Is it gone? Or how does it get refound, let's say?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that are happening that are gonna really help keep not just keep the internet going, but keep more people online. Whether
Right.
Satellite internet, renewable energy, solar power. There's a lot of different things that go into there. But you think about, hey, if the internet goes down completely, chances are that power is down as well, and that's a completely different situation. Where I'm glad to have some neighbors that I stockpile my crypto, my good, and we have our own animals that we raise as well, and my neighbors got the guns and ammo, right? Because you're going to deal with a lot more chaos and confusion to where even your money in a bank is not going to be accessible either,
Accessible, right.
So
well, what about hard wallets? Like, I've heard of those where they're like these wallets where you can put the stuff there and it's somehow or another not connected on the internet, but it still has the information. Yeah. So what is that?
Yeah, so that's very important. And I'll even give you some real world scenarios that can happen, and I know have happened today or recently, where when you store your access to your digital assets on a hardware wallet, you basically, your assets are not on that wallet. It's more like a keychain. So when I look at this hardware device that I have in my hand, it stores the keys to access that, because my assets, say I hold Bitcoin, it's stored on the Bitcoin chain, but the wallet is like the keychain that allows me to access and control what happens with it. So,
right, and so what you're saying that hard wallet holds is the words, like the 12 words or whatever it is that allows you to go into that specific wallet.
Yeah, it's that key that allows you to unlock the ability to use it. So I've always said, and I've had friends say this before too, that we call it a wallet because that's what we're used to, and we're used to using familiar words, but it operates more like a keychain. It's like, it's the key that unlocks the ability to use it. So you can take that. So the internet's down. Say you live, unfortunately, I'm not going to get into politics here, but say you live in Ukraine or Russia, and you're just an innocent citizen trying to provide and protect for your family. Or say you live in Israel or Gaza, where you're also just stuck in the middle. And in some cases, in many cases, those people have to flee with nothing, right? With nothing but the shirts on their backs in many cases. Well, if you have your digital assets stored on a ledger, you have the ability to, and you don't even need to bring the device with you, as long as you memorize or have written down those 12 words to restore the access when you get where you're going. You can protect your financial sovereignty by being able to leave with that. I've got a friend that
in a way, it's a way of not having to have your financial assets be beholden to a bank.
Right.
Yet at the same time, and these are just me questions, right?
Yeah, did it. Yeah.
Or like that I would ask if I was a layman. but aren't we trading these coins as dollars? I mean, we're using dollars to buy these coins back and forth. When does the moment happen when we get off of that? And this CBDCs, does that have something to do with this thing that I'm trying to bring up now?
No, I mean, for now, you're right. We're transacting it in dollar value because that's what we're used to. That's what we're used to comparing it to. And you're going to have those dual infrastructures that run side by side for a long time. And eventually the inversion is going to flip. And I like to give this example. Think about the automobile.
Mm-hmm.
When the automobile first came out, there was no paved roads. So it was literally operating on dirt roads. And for a while, you had that technology run side by side on dual infrastructure. Paved roads started to happen and you had dirt roads. And eventually you hit to that point where that inversion flipped and now everything happens there. Same thing with telephone lines. We used to use the internet over the telephone lines. I mean, remember how bad that was? We wouldn't be doing this call if we were still doing that today. And eventually, and those technologies operated side by side as infrastructure got put in place to use internet to increase broadband. Now
that's a great analogy.
Now you flip that, and all telephone calls, even landline calls, technically happen over the internet now. They don't use old infrastructure. And that's the same thing with this blockchain technology is we're operating digital currencies right alongside of the banks. And eventually banking is just going to be one application on the blockchain because there's so many more use cases. So yeah.
Now, when you say so many more use cases, a lot of people may not understand. So if you could break down what blockchain is at the simplest term. And then after that, what are use cases that you can use in that technology?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll start with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is kind of the basis, and everything that's been created since Bitcoin has been created to solve some kind of problem, maybe operate differently, slightly different than Bitcoin. So when you look at blockchain is that network that basically imagine thousands of computers coming together to create the Bitcoin network. So instead of having one central server, one point of failure, you have multiple servers, and that does multiple things. It keeps the network uptime very good because if one server goes down, the network still can run. If one whole country goes offline, the network can still run. And so that's one benefit, because comparing it to, say, banks right now, there was a recent incident. Well, I say recent, it was a few years ago, where Wells Fargo had one server go down and nobody could withdraw money from an ATM because that one server was down. Now imagine this being able to solve there. Now it also creates trust because it's same. Say you, myself, and a bunch of others are sitting in a group looking at money that's on the ground in the middle of the floor, and our goal is to protect that money, stop anybody from stealing it. Now, if we're all watching it, one person goes to steal it, the other person notices and can stop that. Well, with the blockchain, all these network computers are all verifying that everybody's operating in good faith. So it creates transparency. So you know that that information is good. So what happens with where the word blockchain comes in is as transactions and interactions happening on chain, that information is locked into a block of information, and then those computers start to create the next block, and then the next block, the next block. And Bitcoin is just the currency. Bitcoin is not only a network, but the currency Bitcoin is just the incentive to run that network. Every network costs to run. So it's the incentive to operate that network in good faith, where those that are operating those computers, where you may have heard of miners, they earn transactions from that. And then so that creates an economy. And so when I say one application, currency is just one application on the blockchain, which means being able to use financial
Okay. So let me slow you down, because you're going quick, and you're making total sense, but I just want to break it down for me because I want to be able to understand this. Basically, what you're saying is, if I had three people that wanted to make two people wanted to make a transaction, one would overview that transaction, and by overviewing it and doing the mathematical calculation to make sure that both had money, have money, didn't have money, now has money, that person is called a miner. And that transaction that just happened right there is a block within the chain of blockchain. That's basically what you just said, right?
Yeah,
so now,
multiple
transactions, and that's the banking version of what you're talking about. So how could I use that same technology in other ways? Because it doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
Anywhere
it
where
kind of does, but it doesn't.
yeah,
So yeah.
anywhere where you need. So think about all that is. Banking is basically a ledger, right? When you look at your bank account, you have a ledger of what you have in there. When you spend it, that ledger subtracts and adds. So imagine taking that ledger and putting it on a system that can't be corrupted by one or two people, that is free from that. So anywhere where you need a decentralized ledger, imagine school transcripts,
Wow.
medical
Yeah,
records,
I just went
house
off.
and
Yeah.
title properties,
What
deed.
about like like betting, like on bets and stuff,
That
and like
yeah,
yeah, like I just immediately went to gambling in my head. Like I just thought like that would work really well in a
and
gambling based type system where you would like the third party, the house, if you will, would actually be like everybody.
yeah, yeah,
That's
and
weird, isn't it?
yeah. Well,
And then
actually, we've seen quite a bit of gambling apps come up from that because the technology is designed to do so much. I mean, this was probably 4 years ago, man. I was actually gambling in a casino on what's called Decentraland. Decentraland is a metaverse
Mhm.
project, and my avatar was able to walk in the casino. I was able to play some roulette and some blackjack and bet tokens. And when you think about it, one technology allows you to do that. Another part of this technology ecosystem is called smart contracts. And what smart contracts allow you to do is they're able to program that if this happens, then this executes. So in other words, imagine a gambling scenario where I deposit my money into that smart contract, and that smart contract designed to say, okay, if X happens, then it pays me my money plus more. And if Y happens, it takes my money because I lost. So it's all automated. I don't need a dealer to say, okay, you won, okay, you lost. It can all be automated. So
And I also don't have to deal with going to the counter at the end and the guy
right.
saying, "Give me your ID," and this, that, and the other, and I don't know, and whatever.
Yeah, those payouts
So
happen.
what about? Because I was just watching a documentary on YouTube about a guy who supposedly stole 50,000 Bitcoin from the Silk Road, and they only found him because of something called CYK or no KYC, know your client or know
Your
your
customer.
customer.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this, what he thought was a nondescript, nobody can know who you are financial system, he was then able to be found because of his quote unquote wallet.
Yeah.
So how does that happen? And how does like when someone gets doxxed, like where they get told on who they are? It's weird, right? Because there's almost like two worlds. Like there's a world of regular people and your regular name, and then there's this weird metaverse, Decentraland, weird worlds, places, meta this, meta that, where you have a different character and a different, almost a whole ecosystem in a world where you can have your own job and your own life and your own everything that's separate from this completely. So how does that, and like, so I'm asking a lot of questions right now, but so I guess one of them is doxing, and how do you get around that?
Yeah.
What is KYC? Sorry, I know there's a lot of questions. And lastly, yeah, what is this two world system, and how do they integrate, or do they, or are they separate?
Yeah. Well, let's start with
A lot
that.
of
Now I'll
questions.
explain the
Sorry,
technology.
a lot of questions.
All good. Yeah. So what happens is your transactions, when you use Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, your transactions, they're anonymous. Anyone can look at a blockchain and see what transactions are happening, but what they see is just wallet addresses, and you don't know who those wallet addresses belong to. Now, what happens is where the KYC and the doxing comes into play is right now there are quite a few places where you can spend your cryptocurrency directly, but in many cases you have to maybe send them out to where, okay, if I wanted to cash out this cryptocurrency, I need to send it to an exchange like a Coinbase or like a crypto.com or something like that. That's where KYC happens. Know your customer. KYC is where those institutions that custody people's assets or allow people to buy and sell crypto, they have they have to follow regulations to verify people's identity. So it's been around since before crypto. It's supposedly tied to anti-money laundering laws and regulations. And so when you go to create an account on Coinbase, you have to verify your identity. So let's say, I'm not sure exactly that scenario you talked about, exactly what happened, but let's say he took that Bitcoin and said, okay, I'm going to cash this out on Binance or Coinbase. And then they send it to a Coinbase or Binance address. And then authorities are able to contact Binance or Coinbase and say, we don't know who this is, but they just deposited stolen funds on your exchange. And that exchange has that KYC information. So it's not that your information, your identity is stored on chain. Your identity is kept by those players that do the KYC. So if you never connect to an exchange or if you want in a wallet to stay anonymous, then you just don't connect it to or send, to anything that could track back.
That could track you, right? At that point, right? Understood. So there is it's a heavy world, which I can understand how and why you started the business that you started, which is in essence helping other businesses get into Web3 and understanding what this idea of Web3 and Web5 is. And so, because look, I had a conversation with Alejandro, who is part of what's called the Honey Hive Project. I don't know if you've heard of him. I love Alejandro. He's great. Met him in Miami. He goes to everything, and I don't know how he gets into everything, but he's in everything. Yeah. And I love him to death, right? But we were having a conversation, and we were like, Web 2, Web 3, Web 4, Web 5? And so
skip forward.
Could you give me a brief? Yeah. What's Web 2? What's Web 3? What's Web 4? And why do we skip Web 4 and go straight to Web 5?
Yeah, it's funny. Why they skip 4, I don't know, but kind of give you the history. And you may not have heard Web 2 even before, because you wouldn't think it was Web 2 until there was a next iteration that was being focused on, because originally we thought we had old web, new web, which was Web 1, Web 2. Old web, Web 1 is the original internet, where it's just copy, you can post static information. There's not a lot you can do there. You can put up static websites, and that's really it. Web 2 is what we're using.
Now, when you say static website, what do you mean? Non-interactive website. I can just
non-interactive. I can post information.
Bulletin board style.
Exactly.
Okay.
And now we have social media. We have these types of technologies where we're able to interact and basically send information both ways. But a lot of that information and a lot of that control is controlled by gatekeepers. Your Googles, your Facebooks, your Amazons, right? So Web 3 is that next iteration to where it's a lot more direct connection from the business to the consumer without the need for a lot of middlemen. All these people, a lot of industries have been created that are just gatekeeping. I call them vampire industries. They don't really provide much value other than they gatekeep your ability to access.
I call that I call that third party, because the essence of the United States, when you look at the idea of the laws and everything behind it, it was you can do everything on your own. Like, you don't need to go to a let's say telephone company. You should be able to find that the government has a version that you can go to and pay $5 a month instead of 50 or 70 or no, and get the exact same thing that this massive company that comes in and makes it look like they're doing something, when in reality, all they're doing is just literally going.
Yeah, right. And controlling the prices. Yeah.
And controlling the prices in between. But people don't recognize that. For instance, the same thing happens with healthcare in the United States. Like, your taxes pay for healthcare. But what happens is that third-party vendors come in, and the government, which we give the money to the government gives the money to the third-party vendors, i.e. Humana, i.e. all these major providers.
Yeah.
Then they charge you twice. Once for their monthly fee and once for the copay when you walk in. And they also get paid by the government for being there in the first place, which makes no sense, but whatever. We allow that to happen. So in essence, what you're saying is that this new technology, it takes away from those third-party vendors. Now,
it provides direct connection. So let's just talk about cryptocurrency for instance. If I wanted to pay you in cryptocurrency, let's start with money. If I wanted to pay you, say you and I are doing business transaction, right? You send me an invoice, I swipe a credit card, right? MasterCard or Visa is getting paid. The bank's getting paid on fees on there. Those fees, even though I don't see it, you see it because those fees are deducted when you get your money, right? And all of those had to approve that transaction. Cryptocurrency takes that completely out to where it's directly peer-to-peer. I pay you directly, peer-to-peer. Nobody can get in the middle. Nobody can stop it, block it, whatever. I pay a small transaction fee, which many people call gas, which is basically incentivizing, paying the network to index and include my transaction to you. So the wording is important because when you swipe a credit card, your transaction has to be approved.
Right, it goes through a process. You sit there, you top your number, and it says approved, and then you go, okay, I can leave now.
But think about that word. Think about that word, man. Approved. Whereas when you send cryptocurrency, it's confirmed. It's not approved. It's confirmed. So they're just verifying that I had assets, you didn't. I transferred the ownership of those assets to you, and you now own it on the ledger.
I understand. So in other words, there has been a system that has been created that is a third-party vendor system that has, in essence, stepped in the middle of you and whatever else you're trying to buy, sell, or trade off, or whatever you want in your life. And somehow or another, this third-party system is called government in some way, shape, or form.
Government banking, yeah.
Something, right? Well, banking, which is part of most governments, which in some way, shape, or form move within the same quote-unquote Black's Law Bible of words that are used a certain way. But nonetheless, yeah. So what you're saying is that the essence of Bitcoin is really a big FU to the system.
Well, it's a free market. When you think about Bitcoin, there was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes before Bitcoin was truly launched, right? A lot of people contributed ideas and were trying to solve problems. But the essence of the Bitcoin white paper came out in October of 2008. Now think about that. Halloween Day, 2008.
Halloween Day?
Yeah, October 31st, 2008. Now don't think so much about the day, but think about that year. What was important about 2008? What was happening then?
That was a financial crisis. That was a big thing when everything was falling apart. The ABs and Cs, when they were packaging everything together as credit A's, but they were actually really crappy mortgages that they were. Yeah.
And it took down a whole economy. And so you think about that, there's a reason for that timing. And then when the Bitcoin network went live, January 3rd, 2009, in that first block of information that went out, Satoshi, who is the anonymous creator of Bitcoin, inscribed in that block. In that block is they used the headline from the Times newspaper that day, which was "Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks." Now, that is just saying, like, we've seen time and time again where governments and banking industry, like centralized banking industries, control the money. It gets corrupted. And we also realize, look, if you and I took over the monetary system today, somewhere along the line, if we had still had centralized control, it would get corrupted again. So the solution is not replace the bad actors at the top, because it's happened in society time and time again over the years with government created currencies where they eventually fail. And so the answer is not a new regime to come in and run it. The answer is a new system that establishes that trust and decentralizes the power to where one entity, nobody can go into the Bitcoin chain and say, print more Bitcoin. We need more Bitcoin. We need to increase the economy. What happens at the Federal Reserve right now? They either print more money or they raise interest rates to charge people more to borrow that money, right? And what's happening, our debt is accelerating so fast that we're headed for a disaster. So I'm not saying that all cryptocurrency is the answer. And this is where people need to understand. Anybody can create a cryptocurrency. You and I can as well. But there are certain ones that are going to really change and revolutionize the world. And you need to understand how to, that's why I teach people how to do your research, how to understand what problem are they truly solving, because, but not every currency has to be a global currency, right? Paul, you and I can create a NOLA token just to be used in New Orleans. And if enough people accept it and has value and it creates an economy where people are using it, spending it, buying it, then it has value within there. If Chuck E. Cheese created a cryptocurrency tomorrow, it wouldn't matter if it didn't have value outside of Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, because it's
Nationwide
used when you walk in. Yep. And then if
Oh.
you even have leftover tokens and leftover tickets, you could have it all on one, let's say a fungible NFT. One that you could go in, and each time that you show your NFT, it adds how many coins and tokens you have left.
Yeah. So
then all of a sudden, and it's a must-use case that you do when you walk in, bro. That coin goes bloop in one day because people have no choice. Because people, I lost my card, or because everybody didn't like the coins because the coins got dirty, and and then finally it's the card. Oh, I lost my card. I don't know what happened to the money with it. Well, my dear, if you would have had an NFT, a Chuck E. Cheese NFT,
so there's so many use cases.
I have some questions for you. I hope you don't mind. Okay. So we're at this place where we have this new technology that's allowing me to make ledgers, if you will, about anything. Financial ledgers is just the first one that starts off, which is Bitcoin. Now, here's some weird questions because for people, because I still have them. Satoshi Nakamoto is a person who doesn't exist as far as we're concerned because we've never met the person, don't know who he is or where he has come from.
Yeah. Or could be
how is it? Because this is you got to think this is kind of how is it that we have a coin that's worth 16,000 some odd dollars right now, or 14,000 or 30,000 or $64,000 a coin?
Yeah.
From a guy nobody knows.
Well, the system is designed to create trust in a trustless environment. So what that means is, in essence, Bitcoin is open source. Anybody can run a node. Anybody can hook up a mining machine. Anybody can verify the legitimacy of the network, the transactions, and the currency creates digital scarcity. If you understand, the opposite of scarcity is what we're seeing with the dollar. It's continually being printed. There's only so many Bitcoin in circulation. So as the demand goes up and the use case goes up, eventually the value is going to catch up with that. Now, it's very volatile right now because it's what people are trading it for on the market, and it still has to find that value. But just think about economics. If you have something that's in very high demand and the supply is constantly getting less, over the long term, what do you think is going to happen to the value of that? And that's the thing to where and I've heard Andreas Antonopoulos, who's a great person to follow to learn about Bitcoin. He compares Bitcoin to, think about a sewer rat. A sewer rat is exposed to all kinds of different things. In essence, viruses, right? If you keep someone in a bubble and they're never exposed to any kind of viruses or bacteria, what happens when you take them out of that bubble?
Oh, they'll die. Right. Sure.
They'll die. They'll get exposed. Whereas a sewer rat, I know it's kind of a weird scenario to explain it to, but they're constantly exposed to these things. So you build immunity when you're constantly exposed. So Bitcoin isn't strong because we've prevented it from being attacked. Bitcoin is strong because it's constantly under attack. Imagine if you could crack and break the Bitcoin code, you would have access to fortunes, right? Before people realized that it was cracked, and you could have a huge financial incentive. But the fact that it has not been cracked, there's been no downtime, it's continued to operate, it's shown.
How many years has it been now? How many years has Bitcoin been running?
14 years.
14 years. It's been going nonstop, and it works. It works.
Yeah.
Now, what is the idea? What is the idea of the people who say that it cost, or that the cost to run it, or that the environmental cost? All these people that go with that direction. I'm just wondering. What's your thoughts on that, or what's the reality of it? Is it really that heavy CO2 gases and blah blah blah? What's really being done for what?
No, I mean when you look at it, you can hone down on what's the energy cost to do a lot of things. What's the energy cost to operate government right now, and what's the government? What's the environmental cost just to keep the lights on at banks or to mint new coins at the government currency? And really, Bitcoin is incentivized to find cheap energy. So Bitcoin is actually a way to incentivize people. So more than half of the Bitcoin network is run on renewable energies right now. And that number is steadily increasing because if I am a miner, I have a financial incentive to find the cheapest way to produce energy as possible. But also what we've seen happen in Texas is it's allowed you to create stability within a grid, because most people don't understand how electricity works. It's not like electricity is just stored in this bank somewhere and it goes out. So electricity is being generated, and in many developing areas, it's hard to create electrical infrastructure because you need a steady stream of current. You can't have these spikes and dips and valleys in the current. So they need consistent current. Now, hooking up a Bitcoin miner creates a demand for consistent current. And then as more things come online, you can trade that off. And what Texas has done is they've issued an incentive. That's why so many people are mining in Texas, is because they have an incentive to where you can get somewhat of a tax break or a break on your electrical costs as being a miner, because they create the infrastructure to be able to produce. And then imagine like a giant frost or a giant heat wave happens in that area to where there's a spike in demand for electrical current. Those miners can then shut off some machines that'll allow the grid to continue to support. Whereas in the past, a spike in demand, the grid goes down and people are without power.
And a lot of people don't know this, but I think it's a massive percentage, actually. Something to 40 to 60% of the energy that's actually created is actually wasted by the system, because the system doesn't have anywhere to place that energy. And so there's a ton of energy that is actually like from coal, from this, from that. If you look at, there's a really good YouTube video on this subject alone that because it was put out basically around the same time, a couple months after the whole thing that happened in Texas during that cold freeze.
Yeah.
Where it didn't have enough and why and blah, blah, blah. And so people wanted to understand why. So they made its YouTube video explainer. But okay. So earlier you were mentioning in the same thing about the energy and about creating the miners, right? And I was asking about energy, and we kind of just went over that. But so the barrier of entry, it sounds like here's two questions. It sounded like the barrier of entry to get into like the idea of being on Bitcoin and becoming a miner is free, because this is an open source thing that if you just find the right information and the right thing, then you should be able to open up, quote unquote, your own node, which might cost you some money because you need to have a place to be able to host the node and yada, yada, whatever. But the idea of it's almost very American, if I dare say, that you can do it all on your own. You don't need anybody. You can come from the ground up, fighting and punching, and you too can be a Bitcoin holder and billionaire and whatever the fuck, that kind of idea. But on some level, if you were to take that ideology and you were to slowly learn about Bitcoin and the different aspects of what it takes to have a functioning system, and you were to make all of your pieces to that functioning system that you would need so you could work with other people, i.e. creating a node, i.e. having a computer that's running and doing the mathematical calculations, right? That when you connected to that, you should, in some rate, make coin effectively from doing that. That's what you're saying, yes?
Yeah. In essence, it's an open network, open, permissionless. You don't need permission to be able to connect to it or contribute to it. And so, yeah, it does create that ability. Now, obviously with Bitcoin, there's a lot of hardware that's involved to mine Bitcoin right now, just because there's so many computers on the network. But I mean, there's other blockchains that operate on different consensus methods to where you either run a node or you run a mining machine, and you're basically contributing to the stability of the network and getting rewarded for it. And that's where people overcomplicate it, because it's just like operating a vehicle. Not everybody needs to know how to work on a gas powered engine to operate a vehicle. You just need to know how to operate it. So understanding all the technical concepts and the mathematics behind nodes or mining or anything, you don't have to understand all of that, but keep it simple that if you contribute to the stability of that network, you can earn a reward for doing that. And that's what people need to understand.
So that's it. It's that simple. If you put a steam engine onto the machine that needs more steam engines,
Yeah.
and you're somewhat involved in the calculation, then your steam engine is going to get some money. Now, at what point, and maybe Bitcoin might be too hard to talk about here, but is there a relative point in today's world? Or here's a better, whatever happened to websites like MinerGate, which was a pooling of data from your computer, extra hardware that you would just sit there and let it calculate things on the side or at night at 2 a.m. or whatever. Whatever happened to sites like that? Do they still exist? Can you make money off of those things? Are those even real?
Yeah, there's still some sites. The ones that are fake are the ones to where they say you just hook a regular computer up and you'll earn money by connecting. Now, there are sites that you can join what's called a mining pool, where everybody competes together because you earn more as a group, and then that's split. And there's some traditional ones to where, like, say, I have high power graphics cards on my computer. So if I wanted to set that to mine, which I've done in the past, I can go to that website, connect mine, and link my what we call hashing power to that, and I can earn a reward. So there are legitimate ones. The fraudulent ones are the one that promise ultra high returns in a short period of time, because it's not that way. It's not a get rich quick scheme. But and also those that say, oh, you just need to connect your phone or create an account and you'll earn. Those typically there's some malicious intent behind those. So it's important for people to understand that when it comes to that.
Then my next question is then, what would you consider to be a realistic investment, financial investment? We're talking 10,000 and more, for like somebody who's like, okay, I'm in, I've got $50,000. I want to invest this into these mining rigs set up. I'm going to put it in my shed in the backyard and set it up all nice so the heat gets exhausted and everything's done really pretty like, and it's off the ground so it doesn't get wet, and whatever I have to do to make my own mining rig and solar powered, whatever, I don't know, whatever, that kind of idea, that guy who wants to try it in his backyard.
Yeah. I mean,
is there a barrier to entry there where I would say, hey, if I spend $50,000, I expect to see the return on investment in?
Yeah, it's not profitable everywhere. It could be based on where someone lives. Electricity costs are too high. It could be just the cost of equipment, and most people aren't going to get into that side. But from an investment standpoint, I would just say, and I don't like to give anybody any kind of investment advice in terms of you need to buy this now. But when someone's looking to start, I personally, and they say, hey, I want to get involved, I want to start investing in this maybe. I tell them to start with Bitcoin and start with learning about Bitcoin, learning about cryptocurrency. The more you learn about something, your level of investment should match your level of understanding. You're gonna see more, but then you're able to learn more about other currencies to see if they're worth experimenting in, because you need to understand risk. But when you start with small amounts, like me personally, I've since January 2017, I've had a recurring buy of Bitcoin, $50 every Friday. Haven't touched it. Doesn't matter what it is.
So wait, hold on. No matter what, every Friday
$50.
For how much? How many years?
Since January 2017. So it's roughly almost 6 years now.
So 5 times 52 is 278. Was that what I right? Do the math for me real quick.
208.
You said $50.
Yeah.
Times 52.
Yeah.
Times 5.
Yeah. So roughly $50 times 52 weeks times 5 years. It's $13,000 that's been put in.
So $13,000 has been put in over that time. And also, once again, the money has been fluctuating up and down of the price of it. So you've been buying in at different times and at different. Okay. But if you were to even take that and say half of it, and you were to say quarter that, and you bought in at the precipice of it in 2017 when it was only, let's say, $1,000, $5,000, $4,000 or whatever, and you bought in $8,000 worth of it then.
Yeah. Yeah, but the
And
whole
so,
point.
so are you already living on Bitcoin? So like, do you live your life through Bitcoin? Have you tried that? Because I've seen
No,
other people do that on YouTube, and it seems really hard.
yeah, it's getting easier, but there are things that I do now. I don't, that Bitcoin. A lot of my early investments, the reason like those are long term savings
Mhm.
that I'm holding out because that one and just touch on that topic, and I'll tell you how I'm kind of living on crypto right now. But when you talk about that topic with the the $50 every week, market's very volatile, right? Because it's all on what people are trading Bitcoin for. So it's up, it's down, it's everywhere. A lot of people are emotional. If you put in 10 grand yesterday and the market dropped 10% today, you're going to panic. My $50 a week, it's like a 401k. I
Yep.
don't really care because I know I'm continuing to accumulate over time because I may not know what the price is going to be today, tomorrow, or the next day. But I've got a pretty idea 5 to 10 years from now when I understand how Bitcoin works, how scarcity works, and that's the same case for a few other different cryptocurrencies that I see that solves a real world problem, a real need that we have, and I see the potential benefit for the demand in the future. So even though right now market prices are up and down and everywhere, I know where it's going long term, and so
So
that's
is
why
that
it's
is is that sort of kind of like a long-term holding approach, sort of kind of like a Berkshire Hathaway idea?
yeah.
I'm looking for something that does some kind of something that does long-term version of that thing. I hold on to that, and I just slowly put in $5 a week every week. I don't think about it. That's all
Exactly.
you're doing.
Now there's other times where I've thrown, hey, let me drop $200 in on something very risky because I know it may be worth it. But I understand the risk, and I know, hey, if I'm going to spend $200 on a weekend in the city, then and I'm not going to really fret over it. Then if I drop $200 into this risky investment that pays off in the long term, I know the risk, and that's where people get it wrong is they don't understand the risk. Now let's shift to, if you're okay with it, living on crypto because that's where we can talk about adoption and what the hindrance
So
to adoption is.
yeah, before we shift over to right before we do that, because
Yeah.
we've only really kind of dibble dabbled, and we've only spoken about Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. Now we only did that because Bitcoin was the first that's well known, and it's the most expensive, and it has the most value, and it seemingly is whatever crypto Bitcoin does, all the others seemingly do and follow, right?
Yeah. For now. Yeah.
So it's our gold
Standard.
of the crypto world.
Yeah.
To also give another caveat, the crypto world is something about 2 point something trillion, 2.3, 2.8. It flux, but
Yeah.
that's where it is within a world of 278 trillion, which is the whole world, I think is what they said, somewhere around that, right?
Yeah.
So what you're talking about is a very small percentage, 1% of the totality of financial markets and things that are happening within the world, i.e. oil, gold, platinum, different chemicals that you need for different things. That's down to meats and chickens and everything. The whole entire world, 278 trillion, and this thing that we're talking about is 2.3 or $3 trillion out of that thing. So that's one. Two, and it's growing, and it is exponentially growing as people are starting to catch on to what it is and how it's going to be the future. Hence the idea of these ideas called CBDCs, which are basically currencies that are electronic currencies by each country.
Yeah. Central bank currencies. Yeah.
Sir?
Central bank digital currencies. In other words, the same entity. Say that happened in the U.S. The same entity that prints the dollar, the Federal Reserve, would create a digital currency. It's kind of it's going to introduce a lot of people to digital currencies, but it's also imagine it's programmable money to the point where the question you want to ask yourself is who do you want in control of your money because they can control who can spend it, who can have it. China even enacted a rule on their CBDC where if the user didn't spend it within a certain amount of time, they lost it. So it discourages savings.
no.
Yeah.
Really? That's scary, man. That's
Right.
really kind of like freaky scary, because then it's like then that was my next question for you. Like, what about control over over your, like, what you say and what you do and who you go out with
Right.
and all of that? Like, hey, you don't get your money this week because we saw you with Wayne, that blockchain Wayne guy.
Yeah.
You know,
It could
and
happen,
then
man.
all of a sudden, Facebook is writing me letters about how I can't be on their platform this week.
Yeah, you violated terms of service. Here's something to think about. This was a headline in Canada recently. Canada begins debanking millions of thought criminals blacklisted by the WF. So imagine speaking out against something that you feel is evil, and then from that you're locked out of access to your money. Because
that's even going as far as saying, even if you are saying something that it's not necessarily against the secondary source, but the first source, you could go to jail for that too. It's like, wait, I just saw you. I can't say anything. I can't talk about this one. I can't talk about that one.
Yeah.
I can't even interject in the middle and talk about either one.
Imagine this green agenda where they say, Paul, you've spent your money on too much meat this month. You can't buy any more meat for the rest of the month. That's how central bank currencies can be a problem. That's why it's important people to understand about this. And adoption is going to take a while. But how long did it take for people to truly accept these plastic cards as credit cards? It took 30 plus years for people to accept that as mainstream. Now, people were using it and use was increasing. So when you look at Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, only been around for 14 years.
Yeah.
Right. We're still early.
And it's the same thing as like tap technology that it's been around. The tap has been around forever, but nobody wanted to use it.
Right. Yeah.
And so and when I say that, people are like, no, it wasn't. I was like, yeah, those rings, those whoop, 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 the three little wah-wahs, those were always there, bro. Don't think they just appeared out of nowhere. They've been on your on the chip, the whole time. Yeah. And they're like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, that's what does the interaction between your information and the information that gets sent.
Yeah.
And my friends didn't believe me, and then I have in my wallet a clear card that shows the whole entire technology that I got it for free at one of these cool things that I was at, in Miami. And it's an app on your phone that you literally can put whatever information you want on that and tap it wherever you want to whatever you want.
That's probably is it Link LINQ.
No. It's a card. It's an empty card. You go up to it. Your phone then can like literally format it to have nothing on it. You can add whatever you want to it, then go to somebody else and tap on it, and it is what it is. And you can also, if you have like a dolphin, you can do a lot with it. Or a flipper. Sorry, a flipper. Call it a dolphin. But you know what I'm talking about, right? The little flipper devices that were out for a bit that were really popular in the hacker world. Yeah, it's the same tech, but with just your phone, Mm-hmm. Although it's not of the same, power that these little devices were. That's not the point. The point I was trying to get to is all of these things that we're talking about, this new money, it's all based off of, it seems like Bitcoin is based off of what the old gold standard used to be based off of here in the United States. Like there's only so much gold. This is how long, and then all of a sudden we get taken off this gold standard. We go to sort of kind of, I guess, a petrodollar, right? It's kind of what happened. Basically, the weight of what used to be the dollar has now become the weight of what is the oil. Petro. And now that we've seen that the world is full of oil in a lot of places, and some people are connecting to other people's oil instead of our oil, this financial market that we have is going oopsie poopsie. So what you're saying in some way is you see the future, you know what's going on. You can tell you're going to all the conventions. So then the next question is, what's the thing to do? The same thing you're doing, like put $50 a week into Bitcoin every week? Just do that?
I mean, the biggest investment you can make is in your education and understanding, because if you don't understand it, it doesn't make sense. And you don't do anything without the precipice of understanding and belief, right? So if I don't have a belief built that this is the future, then I'm not going to do anything about it. And that's where people need to understand. And I would just challenge you. For me, I looked at the history of money, and I looked at two things. I looked at one, even before I understood Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I was like, okay, our financial system is messed up and broken, and we need to fix it. And what's a solution for that? And that's where I learned about what this was. So I'm betting on the fact that this was, this was a solution. This was the chance for us to learn and really educate people about money, because there's a reason we don't learn about financial systems in school, is because there's the incentive for only a select few people to understand how that works. And now the world's shifting. It's moving from a top-down approach where there's certain people at the top that only understand everything, to where the world is being exposed to where this is more of a bottom-up solution, to where anybody can participate, anybody can operate, and it shouldn't matter what side of an imaginary border you were born on in your life. If you want to support your family, if you want to interact and transact, you should be able to do that freely.
So Wayne, is there a website that people can go to find you in particular? Is it fio.com, or how do we find you?
Yeah. So I do have a link app, but if you go to just blockchainwayne.com, that's the main thing about me. But what I do at fio.net, FIO.net is our company. We're focused on usability, because one thing, when you look at new technology, it's hard to use. And same thing with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, it's complicated. And our protocol has solutions that makes it easy for the user to use in a self-sovereign way, which means
is that correct right there? Blockchainwayne.com. Get that?
Yeah, that's some of my general. From there, you could connect with me on my link app, on social media. I do need to update some of the stats there, but the website itself is active, and you can connect with me there.
Perfect.
I challenge you to look at that, and then also, like I said, fio.net. When you start to understand how cryptocurrencies work, and you send and receive digital assets, our solution is to make that easier. We are the decentralized Venmo and PayPals and Cash Apps of the world, to where we make it super easy, because the end user doesn't care about that tech. So when you open up a cryptocurrency wallet, you have that long wallet address. Nobody really cares what that is. It's complicated. If you mess up, you send to the wrong place, or your assets could be gone forever. So we created the same concept, that when you type in a website address, like you just put up there, blockchainwayne.com, right? When you type in a website address, it takes you to a certain IP address that's in the background. You don't care what that IP address is, as long as you get to the right place. But 25 years ago, you had to know the IP address to navigate to a website. Same thing here. That user doesn't care about that long wallet address, which there's a reason for that, due to the way encryption works. They don't care about that. They just want to be able to send and receive and know that it's going to get there easily. So we bridge that gap in a way to where the user controls all of that information. We're not a central company. We're actually operated as a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. And FIO itself is a nonprofit foundation just focused on crypto adoption. So we focus on partnering with projects and people that are making this technology easy to use. 25, 30 years ago, Paul, to send an email, it was complicated for people. I know my mom wouldn't have been able to send an email 30, 35 years ago, but now she can do it easily with a swipe of her finger on an iPhone, right? And that's how technology has gotten easier, and that's what we're focused on. Their education is part of it, but we've got to make the technology easier to use. And the bad thing about developers build great tech, but they don't understand how to make it easy for the user to use. And that's where other people need to come in and say, okay, this tech is amazing. How can we make it easier for people to use?
Right, because so many times the user interface is so complicated, and from the tech side, they're like, "What do you mean it's complicated? It's beautiful. I made it think." You're like, "No, that's not. This could have been so much easier." Yeah. So, I guess the next thing to ask you is like, since we were talking about, I wanted to talk about blockchain and different types. And now explain to me, since we went through Bitcoin and how it's sort of kind of the gold standard, where do all these other coins come from? And is a coin a blockchain?
No. So there's two different things actually, and this is kind of a educational piece I like to share with people. There's coins and there's tokens. A coin is like FIO. We have our own blockchain. We have a blockchain that is run by block producers and node providers to where we don't control the chain. And so a coin is any currency that is native to that currency. So like on Ethereum, Ether is a coin, but then tokens are, you can launch a token on anybody's chain. So if I launch a token on the Ethereum blockchain, it is just, I'm creating a token standard. Now that
so I could make a token on Bitcoin.
Actually, not until recently. There are improvements that are happening to be able to do that right now. Started with some early iterations, but there are some there. But Ethereum and other chains right now, you can launch a coin or token. When I was at Best Buy, I launched the coin, I launched the token on the Waves blockchain that had no value outside of work. But anytime, depending on what job each of our employees was in, when they hit certain metrics, they would earn currency. And I would send them that currency as they earned it. And then when they wanted to redeem it, they could come to we called it a store, where we had snacks and apparel and swag, all kind of other stuff, to where they can use that currency to buy stuff. So anybody can create a token on a chain. But that's the difference. Okay. And the whole point is to focus on not just the utility, but does it really solve a real world problem? And does it even make sense to have a coin or a token for what it's saying? Somebody I saw recently had posted, they created this podcasting system to where they launched a token on the Binance Smart Chain and to incentivize people to use their podcasting platform. And right. So, okay, why do you need to create another token for that when there's one that I currently use called Fountain, to where as I listen on the Fountain app, I earn Bitcoin for listening on there. So you don't need to create a coin or token for everything. And as expected, that token I was talking about pumped because a lot of people were buying it thinking it was going to be good, and then it dumped. But there was really no need to create a new coin or token for that. And so that's where you have to establish it. Does that coin or token solve a problem in the world? Then you need to understand that. And just like a lot of people talk about XRP, and I'm not going to get pro or against XRP, but they think because all the banks are going to be using XRP's infrastructure. Well, guess what? Just because they're using their network, what is the use case for the XRP coin? Like, why do people need to use that? And that's what people need to understand. That doesn't necessarily
right, but wouldn't it in the same case scenario like we were talking about Chuck E. Cheese, where even if it's just getting used,
right? Yeah,
buying into XRP smart, because man, you're probably going to get use caseage out of it, and if it's worth 50 cents now and it's worth $5 later.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. You want to look at how the coin or token is going to be utilized, and that's the important thing. Because so many people in the past were creating coins or tokens that didn't really have any reason to create it, but you have to create a circular economy. People have to want to buy it. People have to want to sell it. People want to have to spend it, and people want to have to earn it. And that's what it's going to take for any currency. And we're starting to see that start to happen more. Bitcoin is legal tender in El Salvador right now, and El Salvador is prospering. El Salvador is starting to prosper because of that. But they've created a circular economy to where people can earn and get paid in Bitcoin, and people can I can walk into Starbucks in El Salvador and I can pay with Bitcoin. So when you create those economies that are circular, then that's where we're going to see true adoption. Whereas if you just create a coin that everybody buys it just so for the price to go up, eventually what's going to happen is people
because
stop buying
it, using it, right?
Right.
Nobody's using it.
We need more people using it. That's what we do at FIO. We focus on other projects too that are, how can we make this easier for people to use, to where when I want to send crypto, I can send it to you. We have a feature called FIO requests. Have you ever sent someone a Cash App or Venmo or PayPal request?
Sure.
So we have a feature to where you can do that. Imagine doing that with any cryptocurrency. where you can send a request. You can even put a memo as to why you're sending it. Like, say I owe you for dinner last night, right? You can say reimbursement for dinner in the thing, and you want to get paid back in Bitcoin. I opened up my wallet on my phone and I just approved the request. Yeah, Paul, sure. I owe Paul the money. Boom. Approved. The money is sent to you. That's what we do. It's
so the same thing is like the same thing as Cash App. Same thing as Venmo or Zelle or whatever, but instead with crypto. Now,
yeah, and it's in a decentralized
and
manner.
it's wallet to wallet based. It's not a wallet to change to an exchange to right.
Right.
Are you looking to do that in the future?
Well, I mean, yeah. So exchanges have wallets too. So you can have FIO handles mapped to exchange wallets as well. There are some exchanges that use our protocol as well. So
no, what I meant is like, I'll send you some whatever, let's say Bitcoin, and then I'm going to receive Ethereum.
I mean, there's already a lot of swap apps for that. There's one called Changely that utilizes our protocol as well, where it's a simple swap app. And there's another one that we partner with called Simple Swap.
So that's my question. That was my question.
Send one crypto in and it sends a different one back to you. It's in essence, you're making an exchange with that entity and they're charging a small fee for that. And then they're sending you the right currency back to your wallet. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my question. Do you think that you will maybe do a licensing deal or something to that effect, or some kind of partnership deal where you'll be able to do that inside of your app? Which leads me to my next question, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, we've got the users have the ability to buy and sell tokens, but we rather take our protocol and have it integrated into places. So those ones like Changely and Simple Swap and some other ones that we partner with, they utilize our protocol, but they already have that solution built. So yeah, I mean, it's a simple. If I wanted to add an API widget onto our website or our app, then yeah, we could do that. But our goal is to get our protocol integrated into as many places as possible. That way, no matter where you're using digital assets, you can do it easily without making mistakes, without making those costly errors.
Right. That makes sense. Right. Of course. Okay. So, yeah, so that leads me to that next question, which is adoption, and how is it that, I guess, barrier to entry first, which is what's the best, in your opinion, like best app for beginner who has no idea what they're doing, easily connects their bank account, goes, I want to buy what Wayne told me to buy on Paul's show. Click. What's that easy way?
The easiest way right now, if you're looking at a simple wallet that allows you to buy and sell within the wallet, it's Edge Wallet, because Edge Wallet also solves a lot of the problems that makes it easy for a new person to set up a wallet. Now, Paul, have you ever set up a MetaMask wallet?
Yeah, no, yeah, I've done it. Yeah, me.
Yeah, so it's complicated for a new person because they get to a point where I've got these 12 words. Where do I write that down? If I'm not at my desk, what do I do with it, right? And so Edge Wallet solves that problem to where it's still just as secure. You still have total control over your assets, but you're able to set up the wallet easily. So Edge Wallet is the one I use to onboard new people to as well.
And are you connected to that by any chance? Is that your business, or is that just something you found that you love?
No, they are a partner of FIO, and Paul, the founder, I've known for quite a while in the space. Big advocate for Bitcoin and privacy and cryptocurrency. And
you say that to go that direction instead of like somebody who might be like, well, what about a Coinbase, or what about a this or that? Those are not as secure as what you're trying to say.
Well, that's my secondary. I would say it would be like a Coinbase, only because when you're in a wallet where you control ownership, no one can take control of you. Look at what happened with FTX. FTX is not a crypto problem. FTX was a fraud problem where they were stealing users' funds because the user didn't have control of their funds. With cryptocurrency, you don't need a custodian to hold it for you. So I personally, the secondary, I say Coinbase is very easy because you can buy and sell, and it's very easy to do on there. So Coinbase is a secondary recommendation because I use it, but don't store your assets on an exchange, because like what happened with FTX.
Let's go through that, Wayne, because you just confused me. I'm sure you confused others. Okay. So what's the difference between an exchange and a wallet?
Wallet, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
A wallet is what's called non-custodial, which means you have 100% control over the ownership of those assets. Nobody can take them from you. Edge Wallet goes out of business tomorrow, I can still access those funds that are in there. Whereas an exchange, like I said, let's go back to that FTX. FTX was an exchange. People were depositing funds or depositing money and buying crypto, and instead of withdrawing that crypto to a wallet that they controlled 100%, they were leaving it in the exchange and treating it like a bank account. What happened when FTX collapsed? Nobody can get their money right now. Everybody is still waiting to see what's going to happen when they get their money. So there's a saying in crypto called "not your keys, not your crypto." And what that means is private keys are what control who can access that crypto and use it. So when you rely on an exchange to hold your crypto for you, they hold your private keys. When you have a wallet like Edge Wallet or others, you control those private keys. No one can take it from you. Nobody can go out of business and then your money's gone. So custody is important when it comes to crypto because you don't need a bank to hold your money for you. You can have 100% control of your assets.
And
So
a lot of people don't know what fractional reserve banking is, right?
Yeah.
They don't really understand it. And it's the idea of being able to take, what is it, like $100 that you deposit, and then they can take that and lend it out 9 more times as if it was $100.
Yeah. Yeah, unlimited. And it creates fake currency. And that's one of the things I studied when I was learning about the history of money and why is crypto so important. I learned about fractional reserve banking, which means you deposit $1,000 into the bank. They don't hold on to your money for you until you're ready to take it out. They lend that out. And the fractional reserve part, like you said, say 10%. So of that $1,000 you deposit, they keep 100 for you and they loan out 900. Now say that person takes that $900 and they go to deposit that money into their bank. What does that bank do? That bank holds on to $90 and loans out the rest, 810. And then that cycle continues. So there's a bunch of fake money floating around that's not even real. If everybody went to the bank tomorrow to get their money out, the banks would be insolvent.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It's a problem that's going to happen, you know, where we've already seen. It's funny when I see a news article about a bank collapsing or a bank being insolvent, because in essence, all banks are insolvent right now if everybody wanted to get their money out.
Right. Yeah, it hasn't been the same as it used to. Like, I remember when I was a kid, and this is even after 68, 69. I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s, maybe 81, 82. You could take a $20 bill to the bank and you would get a little $20 gold piece. Like, I remember that. Like, you know, like, I remember going to the bank and getting a little piece of gold, and it was cool. Like, I went to the bank and got gold, you know, because that's where the gold is.
Yeah.
It's at the bank.
Not anymore.
What's that?
I said, I think most bank vaults are empty now or have very little in them. I mean, we have an old bank building that we purchased for my wife's business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's Chase nothing bank. In there, is there?
We still had the vault. I tell you what's in the vault. So in the vault, in one of the safe deposit boxes, I have my copy of my private keys, my seed phrases in there.
That's funny. Okay, so we've kind of done a big full circle just now because we got to what we were talking about in the beginning. And so let's get to now. When you got to this point in your life, you had just done all this stuff. You'd been in corporate world, America, for 20 some odd plus years, working for 2 of the biggest names. That had to be fundamental into helping you like get into the business that you're in now with FIO and connecting with all these other businesses on a corporate level in the corporate mind. So it was all really, you know, stepping stones to get to where you are today. And you talk about education and wanting to like teach others. And that's why I asked, you know, how do people find, do you have like a course? Is there a course that somebody could take from you? Like just as or do you have a direction that you rather send somebody and go, wait, no, not me, this guy?
Yeah, no, we don't have a course that's public for everybody, but over the years, we we've built multiple courses for other projects. So there's a lot out there. You can go, Coinbase has a learn and earn, Binance has an academy. There's a lot of great tools out there. Now we're actually putting together something similar that we're going to be putting out, just kind of a basic education. But
Sure.
But really, yeah, I mean, I found you really want to be hesitant. So all the information is out there online if you want to find it. It's just finding places you can trust. So I think having it within those institutions that people trust is important, because there's a lot of gurus out there that'll sell you a course, crypto investing, for $500, $1,000. Be very skeptical of those. If I need,
so then that goes back to me asking: is there like now that you're here and there's people that are watching now and later, do you have a blog or something that you have dedicated and said, you know what, you guys, listen, for those who are intro, who have no idea, if you go to blockchainwayne.com/intro, here is the top 10 easiest things, or here's a blog that I'm now creating, anything like that for people, or are you not into?
No, not yet. I mean, that's actually something that we've just talked about recently, about adding that to our site and even my personal site. I work with a team, as I mentioned before, a small team we met in a space called Learn Vault, and we've done work for other projects before, and we realize a lot of times that we need to have our own. So we plan on putting something like that out. But for right now,
Cool.
Don't wait for that. If someone's interested now, go to those resources I mentioned. But follow me, and you'll find out as we launch different things, because it is important to start with those basics. And like I said, I've built those courses in the past, and they typically start with going down the rabbit hole of what is the history of money, and then basically what is cryptocurrency, what is blockchain, what are wallets, those essences, and then basic security steps that people need to take. So,
sort of kind of an overview of our show today.
Right.
Guess what?
Always,
Guess what? We made it.
Yeah. If someone's trying to sell you a course, if someone's trying to sell you a course about investing, be leery of it. If someone's focused on educating you in the right ways to set up wallets and understand everything, those are the kind of tools that you need to find, the resources that'll help. I challenge people, plug in. There's local meetups happening all over the place. You can go to Eventbrite or Meetup.
That was my next question. You've been doing meetups, and I think I saw you recently in New Orleans at a meetup. And so my question is, are you running those? And if not, obviously, if people aren't in New Orleans, if you're still running that, where can people find them? Do they just go to Eventbrite and look up crypto meetup and just show up?
Yeah, there's Eventbrite, there's meetups. We host ours on Eventbrite, and the one we do right now is called Emerging Tech Workshops, and we focus on teaching from a business standpoint, business professionals, business owners, even if you just want to understand this tech a little bit better, why it's important to understand this technology and build a strategy for it. And so that's what we teach, because I realized recently, kind of dawned on me, we're all focused on adoption, and every user needs to understand better. But when you talk to people, cryptocurrency in general, right? You ask people why they don't accept cryptocurrency in their businesses, they'll tell you most people don't ask to pay with it. But then when you ask most people why don't they spend their cryptocurrency more, they'll say there's not enough places to spend it. So I think it starts with educating the business owners on getting your infrastructure set up, because this is something that is coming. Business professionals, a lot of traditional businesses are starting to dabble in this space. I mean, you've got McDonald's just launched an NFT program. Nike and Starbucks already have an NFT program.
Did you say McDonald's did an NFT program?
McDonald's, yeah, they're doing a what's the purple guy? I'm drawing a blank on the name right now.
But Grimace.
Grimace,
No.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah,
they're called Grimace Bucks or something.
I don't know what they're going to call it, but the shake was so popular that they're going to do that. But like Starbucks, it's a rewards program built around this technology, and that's what people can do. And so it's going to impact every business. But I think adoption starts with the businesses. Like, set up your infrastructure, because if you say today you set up your business to accept Bitcoin, it may not get a lot of traction today or tomorrow. But when people start looking for where they're going to spend it, that's going to advertise for your business. People are going to know they can go there, and you're already set up. Just like businesses originally weren't set up to accept credit cards a long time ago, and now everybody has a card reader. Get your infrastructure
Right.
now. Don't be the last one to set up the infrastructure for this tech.
Right. Right. So you think that it's just a matter of time, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
saying
thinking,
I'm ahead of the game. I know I'm ahead of the game. There's no other words for it. So if somebody has a business, if somebody does have, like, and even if it's a small business, not a large company or anything like that, but they just have a small business, how do they approach walking into the Web3 idea? Like, is there something that you can do to make yourself Web3? Or like, does that mean I'm AR compliant? Like, what does that mean? How does Web3 come into my business? How do I effectively do it and make it easy for myself as well? Because I'm already thinking of a million things, right? As far as the business owner is concerned.
yeah, as a business, if you want to learn more, you can connect with me directly. But it's really meeting with a consultant that can help you figure out that path, because you need to evaluate your business. One avenue is accepting cryptocurrencies for payments. And how do you do that? And if you want it to on ramp, off ramp, if you want to be able to sell it, how do you set it? How to you have to have someone to show you that process.
So wait, slow down, Wayne. When you said off ramp, on ramp, you confused me.
Oh, to
and
dollar, like
probably
if you,
others. So yeah, what does that mean?
If you accept crypto for payment and you need to convert it to dollars, that's considered an off ramp. Or on ramp is like if you have dollars and you want to convert it to crypto, you're buying on the crypto.
So that's on. Okay, I get it. So I'm going on. It's almost like I'm taking a ferry ride into the world of metaverses, and I'm buying the money that goes into that crypto world. Is basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, yeah, for those people who don't have any clue, then that gives them a much better. So basically it's like, okay, I'm going to Disney World and I'm going to buy Disney bucks, because I'm sure there's probably Disney bucks by now, or a credit card that you can buy that's a Disney credit card or something to that effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and that you would be there with you and your friends, and you spend your Disney bucks. And when you leave Disney, you can't really spend your money anywhere else except for maybe Disney locations.
Yeah.
Kind of idea. And then maybe Starbucks and Disney will do some kind of deal where it's like, come to Starbucks and get your Disney soda poppy ploppy flop cappuccino. Yeah. Well, and is that is that kind of the idea, Wayne?
Yeah. And also non-fungible tokens, which is called NFTs, are going to be a big use case as well. And just to talk on that, an NFT, just a high level concept, Bitcoin is what's called fungible, which means if you send me one Bitcoin and I send you a different Bitcoin back, it doesn't matter. They're all worth the same. Non-fungible means unique value, which means it's a unique token that there's no other like it. So that's where you're able to attach different things to it, to where you can have a loyalty program. Or I'll give you a perfect example, Paul. You were at our event. We gave away a POAP during that event, right? It was an NFT, like a proof of attendance, where people were able to claim that free NFT and say, hey, I was there on that date. Well, there was a musician recently that did a live show and he gave out a POAP NFT. And he didn't say at the time, but later on he put out that anybody that had that POAP NFT from his in real life event, they were able to use it on his website to get 25% off of merch. And so that's creating a loyalty program with an NFT.
Nice.
The NFT
right.
doesn't just have value because it's scarce. It can have value because you can use it. You can utilize it for different things. So that's where businesses can leverage this technology to create next level loyalty programs.
Now, I know this might sound like a stupid question, Wayne, but that same one that was used moments ago that you were talking about, that idea of having, hey, if you were here at this event, you get 25% off. Can I use that same NFT for other things, or once I use it for one thing, it's done? Kind of. Does that make? I don't know if that made sense, or if I'm thinking of it as a ticket. Like I went with my ticket and I kink, and they stamped it. So that's it. That ticket's done. So
Here's
is that how it works, or is that no?
Well, here's the beauty of it. If it's used to access like an event, like a ticket, an NFT can be a ticket that gets you in an event. Then once you use it, it no longer has value to redeem it, but it may have value, sentimental value or something else, because now it's in your wallet as something you attended. But in that case, with that one that we were talking about, the NFT stays in the fan's wallet. They just connect their wallet to verify that they own it. Once they verify they own it, they get that discount. So if he wanted to run another promotion 2 months from now and reward the same holders of that same NFT, he can do that over and over and over again.
Whoa, wait a second. Wait. So you're telling me maybe like this idea, if I wanted, I could say to the people, hey, not only now can you go there and get 25% off, but I've made a specific t-shirt that's only for the people that have that holder of that event. And maybe it's like, Wisconsin, and only the Wisconsin people can only get that NFT, and then that way it's super valuable, and only 100 of those exist, and wow, okay.
There's a whole rabbit hole, man. I mean, you can go down. That's why I say when I talk about use cases, I'm talking about real world utility that can really solve problems for people, or really take things to the next level. Next week I'm speaking at an event in New Orleans called NOLA Music Con. It's a music conference. You may think, why am I speaking at a music conference? And it's really because these technologies can be used by musicians and artists to directly connect to their fans, to incentivize their fans, to engage like they've never been able to do before. And some of those early people that have done it, like Steve Aoki is really a legend already in the Web3 space. I mean, I know he's like a world famous DJ, but he's created just the way to really connect and reward his.
But you also have to give him applause, because there's been a lot of other people who have attempted to create something in this space and have really screwed over their fan base. And I can mention probably 2 or 3 that are very famous people. I don't want to say names or things, but if you just look it up. Yeah. So for someone like Steve Aoki to have something as well as that's worked so well for him, it's a use case for anybody else in the future to go look at. Yeah. Like, these didn't work. Why did this one work? What was his infrastructure? How did he create? What was he working with? All of that, because I think that really does matter in the end,
Well, yeah, here's the thing. If you just want to create music and you want to be left alone, and you just want then the current methods are perfect. When you step into the Web3 space, what Steve has created is you've got to be willing to engage and build community. It's like taking a fan club to the next level, because it's not just a fan club, it's a community engagement, to where what he's really tokenizing is his time, is his access to him, his energy. So a musician, an artist, they have to be willing to do that to step into this Web3 space. If they don't want to do that, they don't want to engage with their fans, and they just want to drop an NFT and hopefully everybody will buy it, and they never
buy it. Right, it's not going to happen. Right,
that's where you see those problems. But the ones that truly embrace this, they get a connection to their fan like never before, and that connection's really been lost with streaming. Think about what's happened with streaming. Is people will pay Spotify $10 a month to be able to stream and connect to all the different fans. Where what do we used to be doing in the past? You go to buy that album, that cassette tape, that CD, and you would get that CD. You're buying it for that particular artist, that particular musician,
right? Yeah.
And then you have all these connections inside. Imagine open up that flip out that comes with the CD that gives you information, or maybe it has a little extra incentives. All of that's been lost.
I remember like the box sets was the thing. Not even like the box sets, but just like even old albums. And if you look in this room, obviously, if you look here, there's nothing but album after album after album after album in here. And it's wondrous when you get to go through one of the box sets, or even not a full box set, but just like a thicker version of an album.
Yeah.
that when you open it up, it's like 3 layers, or I don't know. I want to see if I can find one that I'm like kind of thinking of. American Graffiti, the album here. I don't know if I can see it. I don't know if you can see it right there, right behind this. I'm gonna see you're looking where I'm looking, but it's on the wall. Anyways,
Yeah.
it folds out, and it's a girl riding roller skates, and it's like, yeah, there used to be something to it. There was more of a connection to the artist,
Right.
and I feel you're right. On some level, a lot of this thing happens where it disconnects. Now, how is it that Steve is using the tech to connect to his audience? What is he doing? Does he have like a Discord group or a Telegram, or is it like a?
He's
Go
got
ahead.
a Discord group. He's created a Yokiverse, which is his own metaverse where he engages with his fans and does some streaming, does some live stuff. And he's just really he's trying to see what's possible. And that's what more people need to do with this space is we may try some stuff that doesn't work, but see what's possible, because just like that fold out is really cool. And I can create an NFT that I can reward my fans, my most loyal fans with, where they get that same fold out if you buy the download directly from me.
Right.
But then the ability to engage goes so much more, because now you know the wallet addresses that hold that particular NFT. So if I wanted to reward something else in the future, I can drop it to those that hold that most loyal
thing.
token.
Right.
And so there's
and then you could have like a whole like a tier system, a bronze, a silver, a diamond, a VIP, the black, blah 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 blah, Concord, whatever.
Yeah. Hell,
No, but that's cool, because then those things, those passes become valuable. Because if I have the VIP black card that allows me, when I go to see Taylor Swift, for instance, that year, any concert that I want to go to, and I could just go, bloop, bloop, go fuck yourself. I walk in, bitch, because I got this. And it lets you walk in. Yep. Dude, that thing becomes really valuable really quickly.
Absolutely.
Really quickly.
Yeah. There's so many possibilities. And I mean, you're talking on a huge level. Imagine a local pizza shop that sells an NFT for $100, but that $100 gets you 10% off or free cheese bread every Friday, or whatever the case may be. You create an incentive program for your loyalty customers, or you could just give the NFT away to your most loyal customers and say, hey, every time you come in on Friday, you get 10% off on that. But say you buy a membership NFT. I'll give you a perfect example where we met. Not where we met. I mean, we met in Miami years ago, but where we met recently at that event. That was at a place called New Society in New Orleans, to where it's an NFT. They're not an NFT project, but they created a community, and it's NFT gated to where I can use that building whenever I want as a co-working space or an event facility, because I bought a founder's token NFT.
And those founder tokens, by the way, were not expensive.
No. I mean,
I should have bought one.
Yeah, it was roughly $2,000 for a lifetime membership, but I can use that multiple times. I was already looking for a co-working space, and a co-working space I was going to pay $100 to $200 a month easy. And now I've got lifetime access to this facility, and it's led to so much more, because they didn't just sell a co-working space. It's a community that you're getting into. And even when I want to hold events there, I can hold events as long as it's during the operational hours. I can hold events there without having to pay to rent the facility. And so there's so much opportunity there that you think, okay, those NFTs can create access, can allow you the ability to access it. But say I moved away. Say tomorrow I'm like, okay, I'm getting away from New Orleans. I'm moving to somewhere else, and I don't need that founder's token anymore. Paul, I could sell it to you. I could probably get back at least what I paid for it, but hell, they're not making them anymore. So I may be able to sell it for more, right? So there's so much potential that has not been tapped into with this space. People roll their eyes when they hear NFT because they think of like these ape cartoon pictures or whatever. But we haven't even scratched the surface of how they can be used by businesses
Well, I mean, if you want, like, get into the actual aspects of the business part of the Board Ape Yacht Club, because there's a lot of use cases there that you could show where that, okay, granted, it's one of the only blah blah blahs that did really well and it still holds its value in some way, shape, or form, but one of them did, which means it works, just like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
Well, they have a private.
Go into that. Go into owning the IP of a picture and what that means and how. If you wouldn't mind, go and like explain that.
Yeah, so a lot of people will say, "Oh, I can just screenshot an NFT and have the same image," but it's not so much just about the image. That's just like, yeah, I can screenshot the. I mean, I can take a picture of the Mona Lisa. Doesn't mean I own the Mona Lisa. It's about ownership. So you own that asset. You have 100% ownership, and you can do with it what you want. So there's some people that have bought their, the Bored Ape, and they've been able to utilize that image to create a brand, to create. To market it, to create apparel.
Now, when you say that, you mean they bought one ape off of this project,
yeah,
and somehow or another they now have the intellectual property rights of that picture, and so they can do whatever they want with it and use it however they want. Is that what that's?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, it's a gray area for a lot of laws to accept that today, but that's in essence the concept of it, to where when someone buys it, they can utilize that. But even I'm sure there's going to be a lot of gray area in that until there's specific laws. But outside of that,
now during that process. Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, stick with the Bored Ape concept, right? The Bored Ape, someone owns a Bored Ape. They have a private community group that only members can join. But then on top of that, they hold events all over the world. A lot of times when I go to crypto events, there's usually some kind of ape fest or something going on. And if you're not on some special list to get in, you're not getting in unless you have a Bored Ape NFT, and that allows you access. So it's not just that they launched it and it went big. You've got to continue to create utility to where, what is the value for me holding that NFT? And it's not just the image or video, whatever else may be listed there. It's, what can I use this for? What's the value in the future? What's the demand for someone else to say, if I decided I wanted to sell it, why would someone else want it other than just price go up? Like,
right.
What?
So, I mean, one of the people who had one, I think at one point, was Seth Green, and he was going to use it for a TV show, and somebody stole his NFT, and then he actually bought it from the thief so that he still had the rights to it because he still wanted to use it for his TV show.
Yeah.
So what do you think that was fake on some level, that like somebody stole it and you paid for it again just to create publicity behind it, maybe?
It's possible. It's very possible. But
I don't know. I'm just asking, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about digital assets, crypto assets like NFTs or crypto tokens or coins, is you have 100% ownership of it. The bad thing is some people may do the wrong thing with their own assets. If he truly lost it and it really happened, what happened was he connected to a fake site or interacted with a malicious smart contract. And sometimes those are disguised as airdrops. Guys, be very wary of airdrops, because they want you to connect your wallet and they're going to drop coins or tokens or an NFT to your wallet. And a lot of times when you interact with that, what really happens is it's designed to steal your money.
And you can get into explaining what an airdrop even is, because that does, like, what's going to drop from the air? You're like, what's coming, dude?
It's in essence, projects that'll drop because they can just randomly send coins to wallets. So if you participate in airdrop, it means you either connect your wallet or you enter your wallet address somewhere, and when they send out tokens, they send out one to everybody that's done that. Or in some cases, you should have interacted with their protocol. So like a while back, Uniswap, which is a decentralized exchange, did an airdrop for anybody that had prior used their decentralized exchange. So when they launched a token, you had to connect your wallet, and if your wallet has been used to have a transaction in the past, you qualified for that airdrop, which means they sent you the tokens. That was a legitimate.
They sent you. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what an airdrop is, and in essence, they're sending.
So that's not the same as like. Just to kind of maybe clarify it a bit, I've heard of something called like a faucet or something like that, where, or maybe it's not a faucet, but like,
Yeah,
and
faucet.
maybe this is totally off topic, completely. I don't know what I'm talking about, but like I go, like I'm testing a new currency, and so that currency gives me some of their testing currency, and then I put that in my wallet, and then I can then go to their tester and then send that back in, and then somehow or another I get money for that or something. What is that all about? And is
No,
that part of airdrops? Is that part of like no, that's not the same thing at all.
no. When it's on a test net, when it's on test, you're not really getting anything of value. You just trying out functions with a token that doesn't really have any value. Now they could choose to reward those that participated in that test with some real tokens, so they could convert that to where it's an airdrop. But that's what they'll create, like a faucet to dispense a little bit for people to be able to try it out. Bitcoin had many faucets over the years. There was a faucet long
And,
time ago that used to give out
could
10
you
Bitcoin.
actually get real Bitcoin from that faucet?
Yeah, because the whole point was they wanted people to, and some of them are still around today, but they give out such small amounts that it's not really worth it. But they wanted just to get it out there, get more people holding it, using it. So faucets are created
Wow.
for many reasons, but
Okay. So okay. So faucets are real.
yeah,
They're not the same as airdrops.
right,
Airdrop is something where I've connected to some source and they are sending me something, whether it's legal or not legal, i.e., in the idea of whether I really want it because it really is from the source, or illegal, they're just trying to scam me to steal my money.
right, right. Yeah.
Now, how did I get in touch with the airdrop in the first place? How did these people even know how to drop on me? Sounds like bird poop.
It depends on what you've done in the past, and sometimes sometimes it is. But for instance, there was one a while back with the flare tokens, and to qualify for the flare tokens, you had to hold XRP in your wallet at a certain point. So what it is, they did a snapshot. So remember, blockchain is transparent; everybody can see what's going on. So they don't know who the people are, but they look at every wallet that was holding XRP, and they're able to then send flare tokens to every one of those wallet addresses. So that's an example of an airdrop that happened within the last few years.
Okay, right. So they were already part of a network of some network, and then that's how they were able to. Okay.
Yeah. So either you already held another token, you've already interacted with their protocol, and now they're launching a token. There's different ways to verify who can qualify, but then they basically just send it out to all the wallet addresses. So I can do an airdrop tomorrow, and I can make it. I can send it out to anybody that's holding. If you're holding Ethereum right now, I'll send you an airdrop of this token. Doesn't mean it's gonna have any value, but that's the capability.
Right, because I've seen a lot of people like on YouTube and stuff. Like I've seen this guy, and I followed him for a little bit, and he's like, "Oh my God, look how much money I have! I make so much money from the air, from the pipeline, or from the whatever that thing he's doing." And he shows like all his stuff, and he has like hundreds of people following him, and they're all going to this link and then setting it up in their wallet and then getting the money, and he's showing how much money they're all going to make. And so you're telling me this guy's just playing with fake money, and he's getting people to believe that this fake money is real, but he's not getting anything out of this.
Oh yeah, there's always ulterior motive, especially when they're hyping it up like that. They're probably getting paid by whoever to market it. They're getting paid in tokens, and in some cases, what we've seen, some YouTubers have gotten kind of a bad name, and rightfully so. Some of them have gone away recently because they would promote a coin or token. So say a project would approach them about promoting their token, and they agree to do it if they get a certain amount of tokens. So you pay me 1 million tokens and I'll promote your project. And when they're promoting it and they're getting all their followers to buy it, what happens when a lot of people are buying it? The price is going up.
Price is going to go up, and then they're going to dump
YouTube
on
influencer is doing as price is going up, selling it. Even though he's telling his followers to buy it, he's selling it at that point.
Right. And he's making all this money along the way. So basically a pump and dump, like what the equivalent of a real live nefarious pump and dump is. Where earlier you mentioned a non-nefarious pump and dump where it's like somebody really did have a project, they really did have something they believed in, they really did try to lift it and build it and do something with it. Other people saw that, and that could even be like a downfall to a business.
Look,
where other people come in and forcibly create a pump and dump.
Yeah.
Where you didn't want that. You were like, no, I really, no, please. Like, you could be that guy, you know?
Well,
and you're like, I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah, look, when you put it into perspective, take crypto out of the equation. A lot of good businesses fail all the time. Poor marketing, bad timing, right? Think about, the story of pets.com. I mean, pets.com was...
No, please tell me the story, please. I don't know the story.
Was an early iteration of a website that was going to sell pet supplies, but it was way before its time, and it didn't make it. Great concept, great idea, bad timing. So
it was called pets.com.
Yeah. So you're going to see there's projects that are going to fail in this space that have every good intention, that are good, that are designed to do the right thing, that just aren't going to make it. So that's why I tell people to understand your risk, because there's nothing without risk. Even if you look and say, okay, I think this is 100% a sure thing, there are no sure thing. There's always risk, because even though it makes sense, businesses can fail. Businesses do fail all the time.
Okay, so let's kind of recap to the point where we've gone here. We've kind of gone through a bit of your life. We've gone through a bit of what blockchains are, where we could probably buy it, barrier of entry, and now we're looking at like Web3, AR, and I'll ask you, have you seen the new videos of people who are wearing their VR helmets, but they're doing AR videos, and they're walking in and they're buying something on like at Starbucks, but they're buying it through the app while they're in AR, and they're buying it, like here, like there's a, and they're at the counter, and they're like, no, I'm okay. And then all of a sudden it comes through, and they're like, yeah, that's me, 1743, and then they pick up their drink, and they're wearing their goggles the whole time. I have two questions. One, do you think that that's going to happen more often? And now that these new goggles are coming out? And then the second thing is, weren't Google glasses the same thing? And does that have to deal with this thing that you were talking about earlier, where it's like you can't push society too far to go too fast? You were talking about credit cards and the acceptance of credit cards. The same thing with Google glasses. If you go back a bit far enough, it was like, whoa, hey, Google Glass is too much. I don't want people taking pictures of me. And now everybody's like, well, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got their phone out. But yeah, I mean, you're going to see the evolution. I think we're going to see AR, VR start to play a more prominent role. Not like people think. Like, I'm not going to stay on a VR headset and avoid reality all around me. But I think of VR, when I think of VR, I think of revolutionizing the online shopping experience, where instead of me going to a website like Amazon to buy something, I'm going to put on my goggles, my avatar. I'm going to walk into a store, and my avatar is going to try those clothes on and see how it looks. And then when I purchase that, it's going to send the physical items to my house. That's how I see VR. That's just one example, right?
So like, I don't have to go to the mall anymore. I don't have to go, because all I have to do is, because I can just wear this, and maybe even a little bit further future-esque. I have a VR projection booth in front of me. Weird kind of idea, where I have like a projector that projects me in front of myself at the store, so that when I pick something and it goes, and I can see myself, and I can even turn myself like in a 3D manner inside of this little box that I'm looking at, where I could be like, oh, that looks really good on me, or I don't know. And then I could do this. And when I do this and I go like this, it's me wearing that thing in full 3D, almost like you have the cars nowadays, the cool cars where you can see all around the car from inside the car. Yeah. Like that. Like one of those kind of systems, but instead it's a body of you. And you know, you look like a Ken doll or a Barbie. You can't really see your junk stuff. And then, yeah, you just pick an outfit and tick. And then whatever you do, it looks like that in the video. I don't know, man. Yeah, and then you buy it. And then 2 days later, well, probably 30 minutes later, you know, future, you have a drone that just sends it to your house. You know, so yeah, so okay, so then, so getting back to, if you have a business and you're trying to learn how to get into like Web3 stuff, or even if you're just a person and you're trying to like physically sell a product like we've just talked about, but in Web3, and I know you said here you can come to me to do that, but like, how does that start to happen? Like, how can I even if I'm just at home and I wanted to start to do that process, what do I need to do? Do I need to go to one of these like worlds? Do I need to pick my favorite world and then go there to buy and sell these products? Or, yeah, so maybe you can explain that whole process.
Yeah, I think it's too early for that in terms of metaverse and buying stuff in worlds, and we're going to get there. I mean, there was not too long ago, Samsung built a store in Decentraland as well. So there's tons of different metaverses that are out there. But I think starting small by figuring out how I can utilize different things. If you have a luxury brand, maybe, or not a luxury brand, say you have your own clothing line, start issuing matching NFTs with those clothes where the user can get the shirt and they claim the NFT that matches it. So then my avatar, when I do have a metaverse that I do start participating in, they could potentially wear that shirt in the metaverse, you know? So we've got to crawl before we walk, but it's just setting up and figuring out those plans. And even if it takes a while for metaverse and AR, VR to really kick off and really take hold, it's being able to have you leverage the technology now, like create a loyalty program using NFTs, create a program to where if you have a fan base, reward them. Everybody likes free stuff, right? You don't have to, not every NFT is made to be sold for thousands of dollars, and some of them aren't even made to be sold, period. Like reward your fan base with something, drop something to them.
Right. No, I hear that. No, I hear that. That sounds right. You know, like it could even just be a bracelet that you got, that, you know, one of those vinyl bracelets or whatever that they have nowadays. It could be just one of those that has an NFT connected to it that makes you feel more connected to the artist or more connected to the event or whatever. And then maybe possibly in the future, that bracelet can be something that your character is wearing. And maybe you can have up to 100 bracelets on your arm, which means you've gone to 100 different, events from that artist or from whatever amount of artists, or and that could go along with the T-shirt, which could go along with the shorts, which could go along with the Adidas specials, which could go along with the ticket, so on and so forth and so forth. Now, the question here is, there have been some brands that have already done some stuff, whether they do shoes that you can actually wear in lots of different metaverses.
Nike. Yeah, Nike's done it.
Like BMW did it with this one company. I think they're called Ready Player Me. So and they're really big in the world of VR.
Yeah.
So the question now is there a secondary market yet? And if there isn't, do you think that a secondary market will be created in which, like, it's like you have your Ready Player Me, then you come over here to this website, and now you can make your own clothing, you can make your own T-shirt, you can make your own hat, it's like the Printful or the Printify of Web3, and then now you could have like secondary stores where people walk into a certain branded ideology. Maybe it's the McDonald's store, like if you want to talk about big brands, all the way down to mom and pop 8-year-old kid who goes, boopy choopies, and Poopy Choopies, and that's the name of the brand, Poopy Choopies, and he sells like the worst crap, 8-bit art on his shirts, but for some reason that takes off, right? Because like that one kid who's like 8 years old and he's what, like $300 million that shows toys on YouTube. So it could happen. So
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of.
Is there a secondary market right now with that, or is that not yet created yet with them?
I don't want to say no because I'm sure there is, but it's so small and fractured and fragmented that there's a lot of opportunity. So if that's something you wanted to do, you could easily do that. And I think we're going to see that even in the gaming industry. So as gaming starts to use NFTs, imagine being able to buy a weapon or a shield or a skin in one game. And then you go to play another game that came out from a different developer, but they've allowed that ability to where when you connect your wallet to that game, you can use that asset in the other world.
In their world, right.
Or maybe in one game, it's a really badass gun, but then when you connect it to this game and you hold that NFT, they give you a really cool baseball bat because it's a baseball game. It could be. There's a lot of potential. There's so much there. But even like you mentioned, having the NFT and being able to print gear, that's pretty cool because one of the things, I'll see if you'll be able to see it here, but the New Society, one of the things I mentioned with that NFT is they now drop a new NFT every year to their founders, but they're also doing an annual program now where people pay for 1 year. So each year they're going to have a different NFT. And this one was called the Newie. It was like a skeleton that, because the whole concept, the artist that created it was underneath we're all the same, right? We may all have different skin color, skin tone, shapes, but underneath it we're all the same. So he created the skeleton and we were each able to go in and customize it to our own particular brand. Now they created a bunch, Lindsay and the team there created a bunch of different options to choose from. They even created one specifically for me, which I had to choose, but it's kind of hard to see, but I've got a Bitcoin hat on.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And a little parrot on your shoulder.
Parrot on my shoulder. I've got a bunch of parrots. And then the t-shirt.
I can't see it very well, but it's there.
Yeah, it's a New Society.
It looks very like the They Live, the aliens from They Live.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember is that the right name of the movie? With Roddy Piper from 1984, John Carpenter, They Live. Obey, which is where Shepard Fairey got Obey from. I don't know if you know that.
Mm-mm.
Did you? Yeah, man, that's a crazy story. His street story is crazy. So, okay. So barrier to entry, not very hard, but the hard thing here seems to be that it's such an intense thing, and it's so many things that you kind of just have to choose one thing to deal with first. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that you should learn how to deal with, like you said at the beginning of this whole thing, is just learn what Bitcoin is and learn how to use it and just go from that barrier of entry first.
Yeah, learn
how. If you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, learn how our money operates. Now, if you want to if you're on the business side and you want to learn more about from the NFT side, like how could I leverage NFTs in my business? That's where right now I'd say connect with us, because anywhere where you want to reward loyalty, be able to easily market to your customers, create a community or fan base, then the option to do that with digital technology is so big that, I tell people just to connect with us or at least start looking into it. But if you connect with myself, we can go through kind of an assessment as far as what you need. And even if, even if you're an individual,
sorry, go ahead.
Even if you're an individual and you want to learn more about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin and you have a question, feel free to reach out. I mean, we've got ways to connect. I've got my socials on there. Usually someone that sends me a question that's something simple to answer, like what wallet should I use, or what this, or what does this mean? Find a resource that can help you. And that's one thing I find better than having just some course you can click on that says, hey, learn more about crypto here. That's important. But having that ability to connect and ask questions, that's also important.
Right. But also, please don't send, Wayne like which blockchain or which wallet I should use. That's the last question. Let's
I don't mind what wallet
get more serious. What's that?
I don't mind when people ask what wallet, but what bothers me, and they're like, "What should I buy?" And I'm like, that bothers me the most.
That's right. I don't know.
People
Right?
are looking for an easy button. Tell me where to make money, and that way I have somebody to blame if it doesn't happen.
100% right. If you're going to make the investment, know that it is what is called an investment. It's not guaranteed. And if you think that it is, the best way to guarantee that is what you said earlier within this thing, which is $50 a month or $50 a week towards one of those cryptos, and just keep throwing it at it, because over time it is going to be worth more, because it's been self-evident of that since the beginning, and it's been going for 14 years. It hasn't ever stopped. It hasn't fallen apart at the seams. That's a question I'll ask now, going back to the idea of crypto and Bitcoin. How does it only have so many? Like, you can only create 22 million or something to that effect. And then also, once it gets mined out all the way, how do you keep making money off of it?
Yeah. So the 21 million is programmed into the code of Bitcoin to release. And it wasn't like 21 million was put out right away. Every new block, a block of information is secured every 10 minutes, which means it's creating a block. So initially, when Bitcoin first launched, every 10 minutes, 50 new Bitcoin were being released to the miners. And then what happened is every 4 years, that number gets cut in half. They call it the halving. You probably heard about the halving. So 4 years later, it got cut from 50 to 25. And 4 years after that, it got cut from 25 to 12.5, which means every 10 minutes, 12.5 Bitcoin is being released. And then 4 years later, it went from 12.5 to 6.25. That's where we are now. Next April, it gets cut in half again. So the release of 21 million is constantly being slowed down to where all 21 million aren't going to be released until we're all dead and gone, like another 100 plus years. But
it's going to take that long.
Yeah. Now, hypothetically, by that time, when there's no new Bitcoin being released at the halving, after everything's been not the halving, after everything's been, all 21 million have been released, the miners, when I pay you in Bitcoin, I pay a little bit of Bitcoin for that transaction fee. That's being paid to miners. So the concept is, by then, if that network's so fully adopted in 100 plus years, that the transaction fee should be enough to keep miners profitable to continue to run the network. But we won't be on this earth to know what really happens, right? Technology is advancing, but I don't think we'll be at a point where
very heavy, Wayne. Very heavy, yeah. So now, you said this earlier, and you want to bring that into now because it kind of fits this thing and it kind of alleviates that heaviness, which is, why were other coins created? Why were other why is there an Ethereum? Why is there a XRP? What do they do, and why are they there, and why are they worth anything?
Yeah, so it was really designed the new ones are designed to do different things that Bitcoin may not. Whereas you think about Ethereum is more like the decentralized internet. It allows you to build applications. You hear them called dApps that can do different things, where Bitcoin has just had a singular purpose. It was designed as digital money, digital currency, the ability to transact. Whereas Ethereum introduced what's called smart contracts, and smart contracts allow you to program different things to happen, create different protocols, and so much more can be built on that. But each one since has been designed to do something different. They're trying to do something different. No doubt XRP is super fast, design, but their goal was to work with financial institutions. When Ripple launched, that was their goal. So there's going to be different ones that do different things and use different technologies to make those things happen. It just depends on which ones are going to be accepted, created. There's something real sounds complicated, but I'll explain it real quick. Called the blockchain trilemma that people don't really understand. So you'll hear
The
that
blockchain what? The blockchain what?
trilemma.
The
Trilemma,
blockchain trilemma.
like
Okay.
a dilemma, but it's a trilemma. Think of a triangle, right?
Okay.
And because you hear people say, "Oh, XRP is faster than Bitcoin, so Bitcoin's old, XRP is good," because they think speed dictates what's a good network. Here's your problems. There's three things. There's security, speed, and decentralization. And out of the three, you can only pick two. Like if you have two that are strong, something else suffers. So Bitcoin is the most decentralized, it's the most secure, but it's also not as fast as, say, XRP.
Mhm.
XRP is super fast, very secure, but not as decentralized. It has less decentralization than what you'd expect with Bitcoin, because without getting into the concepts of how Bitcoins work, there's always that trade-off. So when something's faster, chances are it's probably more centralized. If it's not more centralized, then it's probably not as secure as it should be. So there's trade-offs with any technology you build. And I tell people this perfect example. The same currency, say we fast forward 15 years from now, cryptocurrency is accepted everywhere.
Right.
Into a store to buy a candy bar, Bitcoin may not be the best currency to use to buy that candy bar, because I need something fast that can be approved right away that I can walk out. But if I'm going to buy $1 million piece of real estate, the best currency to use for that, the most secure, is Bitcoin. So the same currency I use to buy a candy bar, it may not be the same one I use to buy a piece of property. So that's why that basically is the reason for multiple currencies. And some of them are just garbage because it's an open network. Anybody can create a currency. So you have to be leery of that. But I think that's the main reason behind it.
Right. Right. Shoo, man, so much information, so much stuff, man. I really absolutely, I mean, I'm super blown away by everything here, so much to talk about. Okay, man, we've been here for like 2 hours and something already. Anyways, if you don't mind, really quickly, what is it something that you're working on like right now that's like super cool and fun that you're really excited about? And then last, how do people connect to you? And then we'll do our farewells. And dude, Wayne, seriously, what a great, awesome conversation. Granted, this information might be out there in so many different ways or whatever, but wow, this was great for me, and I loved it, and I know that other people will love it as well. So, yeah, if you don't mind, those two things, let me know.
Yeah. So the coolest things we're working on. So at FIO, we're actually we're launching. We are in the process of launching a product that we could sell to games and other projects that want to incorporate crypto into or Web3 into their game or project or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that problem of setting up a wallet, how hard it can be. So imagine when a user goes to play a new game online, what do? They go to the game, they create an account, and they sign in, right? So we've partnered with a company called MetaKeep to create a product that's just as simple to where the game developer, for instance, would integrate that wallet into their platform to where the user just thinks they're setting up an account and they're really generating a wallet that they control, and they're generating a FIO handle that allows them to send and receive assets easier. So that's a product that we're going to be selling initially to games, but anybody that wants to integrate that into their platform, they can use that. So that's the most important.
Nice.
I say the coolest thing with FIO. And then outside of that, but still related to FIO, is our emerging tech workshops. I'm working with Emerging Tech Global, myself, Chelsea Hewlin, and Raina Casmo and Kelts. We're both, all three of us are working on creating an organization to where we eventually have people all over the world that are holding these workshops to teach business professionals about Web3. And then from there can turn that into consulting. And that's where, because I can teach you why it's important, and then you can pay me as a consultant for an hour of my time to dive into your business and give you a strategy of what you need to work on or what would be the most beneficial for you to utilize for your business. And so that's something that we're looking to do. Obviously, the reason I say still related to FIO, because every time you talk about onboarding new people to crypto, we make it easier. So that's a concept that we're working on. So that's the most important things that we're looking to do is we're not just holding these workshops in New Orleans. We're looking for ambassadors, DAO members, depending on what we're going to do, to be all over, to where if you're in Atlanta or you're in South Carolina or you're on the other side of the world in the Philippines and you want to hold these workshops as well to teach people about this technology, you can do it. And then you can also potentially from there, you can earn an income by offering consulting for businesses that want to dive deeper and learn more, get help.
Right. And then have that as a platform to do it from.
Yeah.
Right. Gorgeous. Okay. Man, once again, Wayne, seriously, dude, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you, man. I hope you had fun with me.
Absolutely.
I had fun with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Been a pleasure.
Cool, man. Cool. And so once again, thank you so much for your time. I'll throw you off here and I'll close off. But once again, man, super blown away. We should bring you back again so we can have this talk again with some other things and some other ideas of maybe there's new things and new tech you want to talk about in the future. But yeah, man, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. One last thing. If you're in New Orleans or anybody else is in New Orleans next week, stop by NOLA MusicCon. It's going to be a cool conference to where you can learn more about music, and we'll be giving a talk about how to leverage Web3 in the music industry.
And that's NOLA MusicCon or Con, C-O-N.
Yeah, NOLA MusicCon, C-O-N, like short for
conference. C-O-N.com, if I wanted to find it.
Yeah, NOLAMusicCon.com.
Okay, so a C-O-N with a .com.
There you go.
Okay, awesome. Like conference with the .com. What does .com stand for anyways?
Computer, I think. I don't know. It's been around for so long, we don't even question it, right?
I don't remember anymore, yeah. I'm going to go find out what .com stands for now. Central Organization Management. I don't know. I'm going to go look it up now. All right. Well, either way, Wayne, super thankful for your time. I'll see you soon. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Yeah, no doubt. See you later.
Bye.
All right, dude. Wow. Oh my God, guys. Another episode, another amazing bit of learned information. And a lot of it, I kind of already knew some of the things but still, there was so much. Like, he holds so much information that you can literally gain something from that, and that's why I really wanted Wayne on, for anybody who has a business, for anybody who's out there in the world who's trying to understand what this new blockchain thing is. It's not that easy to understand. There's a lot of nuance to it. There's a banking side to it. There's a this side to it. There's a metaverse side to it. So it's really just trying to understand and navigate through this new world. And if you're one of those businesses that are out there that are trying to figure out how to get into Web3 and how to start accepting money in this new form of currency, I don't know who else to go talk to but that gentleman right there. And that's just the truth of it all. With that, my friends, what an episode. Episode 39 with Wayne Marcel, also known as Blockchain Wayne. Let me throw his little banner back up there again. Whoa, I'm back. Let me put that up there again one more time. Where is it? There it is. Blockchainwayne.com. Bam, right there. Boop, right there. Hit it. Go check it out. Go check him out. Also, within the description of this, he has a link tree, which is all of his links and all of the things you could ever want. So if you want to go find him that way, you can find him that way as well. My friends, if you've been following us along on this journey, I am on Facebook. I am on Facebook pages. I am on Facebook groups. I'm everywhere. I'm on Twitch. We're on YouTube Live, and soon to hopefully be on Rumble, and soon to be on Kick. I will be broadcasting this thing everywhere here in a moment. We're just setting it up in the back end. I'm looking for sponsorships of any kind, of any shape and any size. That goes all the way from a $25 a month all the way up to $5,000 a month. You pick. Wink, wink. But really, I do even have a whole bunch of different sponsorship packages. If you're involved or want to think about it in any way, shape, or form, just to make this better, so that I can start promoting it, make it bigger, and have bigger guests and better, back end stuff, lighting, sound, editing, production, everything. No, seriously, I would totally appreciate it. Send it to whatever form of Cash App and Zelle that you can think of. If you're looking for how or why or when, I can just DM me. Be much easier to do that. Just to send me a direct message, and I will get in touch with you. With that, my friends, please go out into the world, do something nice for somebody else. And if you can't, do something nice for yourself. It does start with you. Number 2, don't get caught up in all the crazy stuff in this world, because if you do, then you end up a little poopity poopity poop. That's not good for you or me. And number 3, if you would not mind, please like, share, subscribe. Send this out to somebody who'd like to see it. From my heart to yours, I thank you very, very much, and I will see you all on the other side.